The ship came out of faster-than-light travel with a soft hum. Ambassador Park Jisoo stood at the viewing window and looked at the massive space station floating in the darkness. Station Orth 7. It was bigger than any city on Earth. Lights covered every surface, like stars had fallen and stuck to the metal walls. "It is beautiful," said Lieutenant Kim Do-won. He stood beside her, holding a datapad with all their meeting notes. "It is also dangerous," said Lee Yuna from behind them. She was their security officer. Her eyes never stopped moving, always watching, always careful. "Remember, Ambassador, we are the new ones here. The weak ones. That is what they think." Jisoo smiled softly. "Let them think it." The shuttle took them down to the station's main entrance. Other ships were arriving too. Jisoo saw vessels of all shapes and sizes. Some looked like giant insects. Others looked like clouds of gas held together by invisible force. Each ship carried representatives from different species across the galaxy. The Galactic Trade Summit happened once every 10 years. Species from hundreds of worlds came together to make deals, form alliances, and decide the future of interstellar commerce. Humanity had never been invited before. They were too new, too primitive. They had only discovered faster-than-light travel 40 years ago, but this year, the invitation came. And humanity said yes. The station's interior was even more impressive than the outside. The walls were made of living crystal that sang soft music as people walked past. The ceiling was so high that Jisoo could not see where it ended. Floating platforms carried delegates from place to place like gentle clouds. A Velith guide met them at the entrance. The Velith were the hosts of this summit. They were tall beings made entirely of crystal. When they spoke, their bodies vibrated and produced sounds like beautiful bells. "Welcome, humans," the guide sang. "I am called Harmony in Motion. I will take you to your quarters and then to the great dining hall." "Thank you," Jisoo said with a small bow. She had practiced this. Humans were supposed to show respect, to be humble, to know their place. Kim Do-won walked close to her. "The Velith seem friendly," he whispered. "The Velith are neutral," Yuna corrected him. "They are friendly to everyone. That does not mean everyone here is friendly to us." Their quarters were simple but clean. A large room with 3 beds, a bathroom, and a window that showed the stars outside. Jisoo changed into her formal diplomatic uniform, dark blue with silver trim, the flag of United Earth on her shoulder. "How do I look?" she asked. "Like someone who belongs here," Do-won said. Yuna checked her hidden weapons one more time. A small stunner in her sleeve, a scanner in her pocket, nanotransmitters sewn into her collar. "Remember the plan," she said. "We smile, we listen, we learn, and we trust no one." The dining hall was the largest room Jisoo had ever seen. Thousands of tables spread across a floor that seemed to go on forever. Crystal chandeliers hung from above, each one the size of a house. The light they gave was soft and warm. Delegates from dozens of species were already seated. Jisoo recognized some from her studies. The Chithari were insect-like beings with hard shells and many eyes. They controlled 3 star systems and had the largest trading fleet in the sector. The Ephemori were clouds of colored gas. They were old, very old. Some said they had been traveling the stars before most other species learned to walk. And there were others. So many others. Beings with tentacles. Beings with no solid form. Beings that looked like rocks or plants or things, that had no name in any human language. All of them looked at the humans as they entered. Jisoo felt their eyes. Some were curious. Some were amused. Some were hostile. She kept her face calm and walked forward with her head held high. Harmony in motion led them to a table near the back of the hall. It was small, simple, far from the center where the important species sat. "This is the newcomer's table," the guide explained. "It is tradition. New species sit here until they prove themselves worthy of higher positions." "We understand," Jisoo said. "Thank you." She sat down. Dawan sat on her right. Yuna sat on her left, her back to the wall so she could see the whole room. At the center of the hall, on a raised platform, sat the Velith High Resonant. His name was Thrumex. He was larger than the other Velith, and his crystal body glowed with inner light. He was the leader of this summit. His word was law here. Thrumex raised one arm. The room fell silent. "Welcome all," his voice rang out like a great bell. "Tonight we begin the summit of trade and trust. Tonight we eat together. Tomorrow we talk. Let there be peace in this hall." The delegates made sounds of agreement. Clicks and hums and strange noises that Jisoo did not understand. A service drone floated toward the human table. It was a small machine, round and silver, with several arms. "Please state your dietary requirements," it said in a flat voice. Jisoo looked at her team. They had prepared for this. "We require water to drink," she said. "Clean water. And simple proteins if you have them. Cooked, please." The drone beeped. "Water, protein, cooked. Understood." It floated away. Dowan leaned close. "That was easy." "Too easy," Yuna muttered. Her hand rested on the scanner in her pocket. Across the hall, Jisoo noticed movement. The Chithari delegation was watching them. One of them, larger than the others with a bright red shell, seemed to be staring directly at her. His many eyes reflected the light like dark mirrors. She looked away, kept her face neutral. But inside she felt a cold warning. Something was wrong. The drone returned. It placed 3 glasses on the table. Crystal glasses filled with clear liquid. Water. Simple water, but the water shimmered. Just slightly. A faint rainbow color moved through it like oil on a puddle. Dowan reached for his glass. Yuna grabbed his wrist. "Wait." She pulled out her scanner, held it over the glass. The device hummed softly as it worked. Then it beeped. A red light flashed. Yuna's face went white. "Ambassador," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "We have a problem." Jisoo did not move. She did not let her face show anything, but her heart was beating fast. "What is it?" she asked quietly. Yuna tilted the scanner so only Jisoo could see the screen. Numbers and chemical symbols filled the display. Most of them meant nothing to Jisoo, but 3 words at the bottom were clear. Compound 7 Theta. Lethal to humans. Jisoo felt ice in her stomach. She knew about Compound 7 Theta. Every human diplomat learned about it. To most species in the galaxy, it caused only small problems. Headaches, confusion, nothing serious. But human brains were different. Human nerves worked in a special way. And Compound 7 Theta destroyed them. If they drank this water, they would be dead within 6 hours. And the death would be slow, painful. Their muscles would stop working first. Then their lungs. Then their hearts. And they would feel everything. Someone wanted to kill them. Someone who knew exactly how human bodies worked. And Buon had gone pale. He was staring at the glass like it was a snake ready to bite. His hand was still frozen where Yuna had stopped him. "Put your hand down," Jisoo said softly. "Smile, act normal." Dowan swallowed hard, but he obeyed. He lowered his hand and forced a small smile onto his face. "Who?" he asked through his teeth. Jisoo looked around the room slowly. She made it look like she was admiring the decorations. But really, she was searching, watching, looking for anyone who was paying too much attention to the human table. There, the Chithari, the large one with the red shell, was still staring. And now Jisoo could see something in his posture. Anticipation. He was waiting for something. Waiting for them to drink. His name was Critic. She remembered him from her briefings. He was the Chithari Trade Minister, one of the most powerful beings in their government. And he had spoken against humanity many times. He called humans dangerous, called them vermin, said they would spread across the galaxy like a disease if not stopped. Critic raised one of his front legs. It was a greeting gesture, but there was something mocking in it. Like he was saying goodbye instead of hello. He knew. He had to know. Maybe he had planned this himself. The Chithari, Yuna said. She had seen him too. Yes, Jisoo agreed. But we need proof. And we need to be careful. Dawan's hands were shaking slightly under the table. What do we do? If we accuse them without proof, we look paranoid. If we drink, we die. If we refuse to drink, they will know we know. And they might try something else. It was a trap. A perfect trap. Whoever planned this had thought about every possibility. But they had not thought about everything. Jisoo touched a small button on her sleeve. It looked like decoration. A tiny silver circle. But it was actually a communicator connected directly to their ship. Lieutenant, she said, keeping her voice casual like she was just making conversation. Please tell Captain Beek Sunho that we are enjoying the dinner very much. And ask him to prepare our special gift for the hosts. The one we discussed before. Do-won blinked. Then understanding filled his eyes. Yes, Ambassador. Right away. He pretended to check his datapad. Really, he was sending a coded message to the ship. The message said, "We are in danger. Begin Protocol Silk Road." 3 light minutes away, the diplomatic cruiser Hangant floated in the darkness between stars. It was a beautiful ship, sleek and silver. It looked like a vessel of peace. But looks can lie. Captain Beek Sunho was a tall man with gray hair and calm eyes. He had served in the Earth Defense Force for 30 years. He had seen battles. He had lost friends. He had learned that the universe was not a kind place. When Do-won's message arrived, he read it once. Then he read it again. They tried to poison the ambassador, he said. Commander Shomaran stood beside him. She was younger than the captain. Faster. Her fingers were already moving over her console. Orders, sir? Activate Protocol Silk Road. The Hanging was not just a diplomatic ship. Hidden inside its beautiful hull were things that no one at the summit knew about. Data warfare systems that could crack any encryption. Spy drones smaller than insects. Quantum tap relays that could listen to any communication within 10,000 kilometers. Humanity had come to this summit prepared. Not for war, but for the truth. Moran's team worked fast. Within seconds, they had found Station Orth 7's communication network. It was supposed to be secure, protected by Velith Crystal Code, the most advanced encryption in the galaxy. It took the human systems 43 seconds to break through. They did not attack. They did not destroy. They simply listened and recorded. Every message, every private conversation, every secret deal made in back rooms and hidden channels. All of it flowed into the Hangang's computers like water flowing into the sea. And what they found was worse than anyone expected. The Chithari had not just tried to kill the human delegation tonight. They had been working against humanity for years. Moran found records of sabotage missions against human colonies. Evidence of bribes paid to other species to reject human trade deals. Plans to blockade human shipping routes. Even orders for assassinations of human scientists and diplomats. It was a secret war. And humanity had been losing without even knowing they were fighting. Captain, Moran said, her voice tight with anger. You need to see this. Sunho looked at her screen. His face did not change. but his hands tightened into fists. "Send everything to the ambassador," he said. "She needs to know what we are dealing with." Back in the dining hall, Jisoo felt her sleeve vibrate. A soft pulse against her wrist. Data was coming in. She glanced down. Her uniform had a hidden display woven into the fabric. Only she could see it. And what she saw made her breath catch. Files. Hundreds of files. Communications between the Chithari and other species. Plans, orders, evidence of crimes against humanity going back 10 years. They had proof now. Real proof. She looked at the poisoned water sitting in front of her. Then she looked at Critic across the hall. He was still watching. Still waiting. He thought he was clever. He thought humans were stupid animals who would drink whatever was put in front of them. He was wrong. Jisoo made a decision. She would not run. She would not hide. She would not report this quietly and hope for justice. No, she would turn this trap around. She would use their own poison against them. "Yuna," she said softly, "earlier, when you bumped into that service drone, did you plant the device?" Yuna's lips curved into a small smile. "Under the Chithari table. Just like we planned. Good." Jisoo picked up her glass of poisoned water. She looked at it, smiled at it, then set it down without drinking. Let them wonder. Let them wait. Let them think their plan was still working. Because when Park Jisoo was done, the Chithari would learn something important about humans. They never forgot. And they never forgave. She touched her communicator again. "Captain Beak, this is Ambassador Park. When I give the signal, I want you to bring the hanging to Station Or 7. Full diplomatic approach. To make sure our friends can see our teeth." On the ship, Sunho smiled for the first time that day. "Understood, Ambassador. We will be ready." The game had begun. And humanity was about to show the galaxy how they played. The dinner continued around them like nothing was wrong. Delegates laughed and talked and made deals. Crystal glasses clinked together. Music played from somewhere far above. The Velith hosts moved between tables, making sure everyone was happy. No one knew that 3 humans were sitting in the middle of a battlefield. Jisoo ate slowly. The food was strange, but safe. Her scanner had checked everything twice. Only the water was poisoned. Only the one thing that humans needed most. Clever, she thought. Cruel and clever. She watched the Chithari table from the corner of her eye. Critic was getting nervous. She could tell by the way his legs kept moving, tapping against the floor, clicking softly. He had expected the humans to drink by now. He had expected them to be getting sick, confused, dying. But the humans sat there, calm and quiet, not touching their water. Something was wrong with his plan. And he did not know what. Dowan leaned toward Jisoo. "The captain confirms everything is ready. The hanging is moving into position. 20 minutes until they reach visible range." "Good," Jisoo said. "What about the other thing?" "Moran's team found it. Everything we needed and more." The Chithari were not careful. They kept records of everything. Every crime. Every lie. Every secret. Jisoo nodded slowly. That was the thing about people who thought they were untouchable. They got careless. They left trails. And those trails led right back to them. Yuena was scanning the room again. The Ephemerai are leaving early. And the Velith High Resonant keeps looking at our table. I think he knows something is happening. "Let him look," Jisoo said. "He will understand soon enough." The plan was simple. Humans were good at simple plans. They did not try to be fancy. They did not try to be clever. They just prepared for everything. When the invitation to this summit had arrived 6 months ago, the humans did not celebrate. They asked one question: what if it is a trap? And then they prepared. They studied every species that would be at the summit. They learned their histories, their cultures, their secrets. They found out who hated humans, who feared humans, who might want humans dead. The Chithari were at the top of that list. So the humans came ready. The hanging was loaded with spy equipment, hidden behind fake walls. Yuna had devices sewn into her clothes that could plant listening bugs, disable security systems, or cause small explosions if needed. Dohan had memorized the station's entire computer system, so he could help Moran's team break in, and Jisoo had practiced. For weeks, she had practiced keeping calm, keeping her face neutral, never showing fear, because she knew that when the moment came, everyone would be watching. That moment was now. She stood up from the table. The movement was small, but in a room full of beings who were used to following rules, it was like a shout. Several delegates turned to look. The Velith guide, Harmony in Motion, hurried toward her with concern. "Ambassador, is something wrong? Do you need assistance?" Jisoo smiled warmly. "No, thank you. I simply wish to address the assembly. If the High Resonant permits." A wave of whispers spread through the hall. This was not done. New species did not speak at formal dinners. They sat quietly and listened. They waited their turn. They knew their place. The whispers reached the high resonance platform. Thrumax turned his great crystalline head toward the human table. His body hummed with curiosity. "The human wishes to speak," he sang, his voice filling the hall. "This is unusual, but we welcome unusual things. Ambassador of Earth, you may address us." Critic was on his feet now. His shell had turned a darker red. Anger. He chittered something to his aides. They chittered back. Whatever they were saying, they were not happy. Good, Jisoo thought. Be angry. Angry people make mistakes. She walked toward the center of the hall. Every eye followed her. Every sensor. Every receiver. The room was silent, except for the soft singing of the crystal walls. Jisoo reached the open space before the high-resonance platform. She bowed deeply. Respect. Humility. Everything they expected from the primitive humans. Then she straightened. And her eyes were not humble anymore. "High-resonant Thrumex," she said. Her voice was clear and carried through the entire hall. "Honored delegates of the Galactic Trade Summit, I come before you with news that saddens me greatly." She paused. "Let the tension build. Tonight, someone tried to kill us." The silence shattered into chaos, being shouted in a dozen languages. Some jumped to their feet. Others made sounds of disbelief. The Ephemery swirled into tight clouds of agitation. Only the Chithari stayed still. Too still. Thrumax raised his arms. The hall quieted slowly. "These are serious words, Ambassador," he said. "What proof do you offer?" "This," Jisoo said. She touched her sleeve. A holographic display burst to life above her hand. It showed the chemical analysis of the water. The red warning. The words compound 7 theta in bright letters. "The water served to my delegation contains a poison. This poison is harmless to most species. But to humans, it is deadly. Someone on this station knows our biology well enough to kill us precisely. More chaos. More shouting. But also something else." Jisoo saw beings exchanging glances. She saw some of them looking at the Chithari table. They suspected. Even without proof, they suspected. Critic pushed forward through the crowd. His voice was harsh, like metal scraping against metal. "This is an insult. The humans accuse us of crimes without evidence. They are paranoid primitives who see enemies everywhere. I have not accused you of anything," Jisoo said calmly. "Yet." She touched her sleeve again. The hologram changed. Now it showed files, communications, plans. "But since you mention it, Trade Minister Critic, let me share what we found when we looked deeper. The files opened one by one. Messages between Chithuri officials planning to sabotage human ships. Records of payments to pirates who attacked human colonies. Orders to assassinate human scientists working on new technology. Each file appeared in the air for everyone to see. Each file was stamped with Chithuri government codes. Each file was real. The hall was silent now. Even the crystal walls had stopped singing. Critic's shell was almost black with rage. Lies, fabrications. The humans have no right to access our communications. The communications were sent through this station's network, Jisoo said. The Velith High Resonant can verify their authenticity. They are real. They are true. And they prove that the Chithuri have been waging a secret war against humanity for 10 years. She turned to face the High Resonant directly. We did not come here looking for enemies. We came looking for friends. For partners. For a place in this great community of stars. But we found something else instead. She gestured at the holographic files floating in the air. We found betrayal. We found hatred. We found beings who would rather poison children than share the galaxy with newcomers. Her voice hardened. And we found that we were right to be careful. Outside the station, the hanging dropped out of faster than light travel. Its sleek hull gleamed in the light of distant stars. And along its sides, weapons ports slid open. Just a little. Just enough to be seen. Humanity had come in peace. But they had brought their teeth, just in case. And now the galaxy would see them. The dining hall had become a courtroom. Every delegate stood frozen, watching the drama unfold before them. The holographic evidence floated in the air like ghosts, accusing the Chithuri with their own words. Critic was cornered. He knew it. Everyone knew it. But cornered animals are the most dangerous. You have violated every law of this summit. He screamed. His voice was shrill now, desperate. You hacked into secure communications. You planted spies. We defended ourselves, Jisoo said simply, as any species has the right to do. The high resonance body rang with a deep tone. Everyone fell silent. Even Critic. The evidence appears authentic, Thrumek said slowly. Our systems confirm that these communications passed through station networks. The timestamps are real. The codes are real. He turned his great head toward the Chithuri delegation. Trade Minister Critic, your people have explaining to do. For a moment, Critic stood still. His many eyes moved rapidly, looking for escape, looking for allies. But the other delegations had stepped away from him. No one wanted to stand next to a poisoner. No one wanted to be connected to his crimes. Then something changed in his posture. His legs stopped shaking. His shell darkened to almost pure black. He had made a decision. The Chithuri do not answer to primitives, he hissed. The Chithuri do not answer to anyone. He turned to his aides. Contact our fleet. Tell them the humans have declared war. Tell them to. Your fleet cannot hear you, Yuna said. Everyone turned to look at her. She was still sitting at the human table, calm as still water. A small device glowed in her hand. When I bumped into that service drone earlier, I did not just plant a listening device. I planted a signal jammer. Your communications have been blocked for the last 30 minutes. Your fleet does not know anything is wrong. Your allies cannot help you. You are alone. Critic's shell cracked slightly. An actual crack running down his side. The stress was literally breaking him apart. This is impossible, he whispered. You are primitives. You can't. We can, Jisoo said. And we did. Because you made a mistake, Trade Minister. The same mistake everyone makes about humans. She walked toward him slowly. She was smaller than him, softer. She had no shell, no claws, no natural weapons. By every measure, she should have been afraid of him. She was not afraid. "You thought we were weak because we are new," she said. "You thought we were stupid because we are young. You thought you could poison us at dinner, and no one would ever know the truth." She stopped right in front of him, close enough to touch. "But humans have been fighting to survive since we first climbed down from trees on a small blue planet in a quiet corner of the galaxy. We have fought ice ages. We have fought plagues. We have fought each other. And we are still here." Her voice dropped to almost a whisper. But in the silent hall, everyone heard. "We are very, very good at surviving." Critic lunged at her. His claws shot forward, aimed at her throat. He was fast. Faster than any human could move. In his mind, he was already watching her blood spray across the crystal floor. He never reached her. Yuna's hand moved. A small device flew through the air. It hit Critic's chest and stuck there. For half a second, nothing happened. Then the sonic disruptor activated. The sound was too high for most species to hear, but everyone felt it. The air shook. The crystal walls screamed. And directly beneath Critic's feet, the floor cracked. He stumbled, off balance. His claws swung wide, missing Jisoo by inches. At the same moment, across the hall, the Chithari table exploded. Not with fire, not with smoke, with sound. The sonic device that Yuna had planted earlier unleashed its full power. The crystal table shattered into a million pieces. Glass flew everywhere. The Chithari aides were thrown backward, covered in cuts, screaming in their clicking language. Chaos erupted. Delegates ran for the exits. Guards rushed in from every direction. The crystal walls wailed with alarm. And in the middle of it all, Critic lay on the floor, bleeding from a dozen wounds. His shell cracked in 3 places. Jisoo stood over him. She had not moved an inch. "You should not have tried to poison us," she said quietly. "You should not have tried to kill me just now. And you definitely should not have underestimated humans." Velith guards surrounded the Chithari delegation. Their crystal bodies glowed with angry red light. The high-resonance voice boomed through the hall. "The Chithari are under arrest. Their diplomatic immunity is revoked. No one leaves this station until we have answers." The other delegates watched in shock. Some of them had been allies of the Chithari for centuries. Some of them had helped with the plots against humanity. They were very quiet now. Very worried. Jisoo turned to face them all. "Let me be clear," she said. "Humanity did not come here for revenge. We came here for peace, for trade, for friendship. We still want those things." She paused, letting her words sink in. "But we also came prepared. We knew that some of you hate us. We knew that some of you fear us. We knew that some of you would rather see us dead than share the stars with us." She spread her hands, showing empty palms. "We offer you a choice. You can be our friends. You can trade with us fairly. You can work beside us to build a better galaxy." Her hands dropped to her sides. "Or you can be our enemies. You can lie to us. You can cheat us. You can try to poison us at dinner." Her eyes swept across the hall, meeting the gaze of every delegate. "But if you choose that path, remember tonight. Remember what happened to the Chithari. Remember that humans are small and soft and new to the stars." Her smile was warm. Her voice was gentle. "And remember that we still won." Outside the station, Captain Beek Sunho watched the chaos through his sensors. Commander Marin stood beside him, monitoring every communication that flowed through the station's network. "The Chithari fleet is confused," she reported. "They know something is wrong, but they cannot contact their people. Several ships are moving toward the station, but the Velith defense grid is blocking them." "Good," Sunho said. "What about the other species?" 17 delegations are requesting emergency meetings with Ambassador Park. They want to discuss new trade agreements. Moran almost smiled. It seems many of them had deals with the Chithari that they would like to reconsider now. Sunho nodded slowly. The ambassador did well. She turned a death trap into an opportunity. She is impressive, Moran agreed. I would not want her as an enemy. No, Sunho said. Neither would I. He looked at the station floating in the darkness. Somewhere inside, his ambassador was reshaping the future of human relations with the galaxy. With nothing but words and careful planning, and the willingness to stand her ground. That was the thing about humans, he thought. They were not the strongest. They were not the fastest. They were not the oldest or the wisest or the most advanced, but they never gave up. They never stopped thinking, and they never let anyone decide their fate for them. The galaxy was just beginning to learn what that meant. 3 days passed. 3 days of meetings and negotiations and carefully written agreements. 3 days that changed everything. The Chithari delegation was held in secure quarters while the Velith investigated their crimes. The evidence was clear. Too clear to ignore. 10 years of plots and lies and attempted murders, all recorded in their own files. Other species came forward with their own stories. The insectoid Makari revealed that the Chithari had threatened to destroy their colony ships if they traded with humans. The reptilian Seth admitted that they had been paid to spread false stories about human aggression. Even the ancient Ifamori, who usually stayed neutral in all conflicts, shared communications showing Chithari attempts to manipulate their trade routes. The secret war against humanity had been bigger than anyone knew. And now it was over. Jisoo worked without rest. She met with delegation after delegation. She listened to their concerns. She answered their questions. She signed agreements that would have taken years to negotiate under normal circumstances. Kim Do-won stood beside her through it all, keeping notes, arranging meetings, making sure she remembered to eat. Lee Yuna watched from the shadows, her hand never far from her weapons, making sure no one else tried to hurt the ambassador. On the morning of the 4th day, Jisoo was called to meet with the High Resonant privately. The Velith leader's personal chambers were beautiful. Crystal grew from every surface in patterns that looked like frozen music. Light danced through the walls, creating rainbows that moved like living things. Thrumex waited for her in the center of the room. His body hummed with complex harmonics that Jisoo could feel in her bones. "Ambassador Park," he sang. "Please, sit." She settled onto a crystal bench. It was surprisingly comfortable. "You have had a busy few days," Thrumex said. "Yes," Jisoo smiled tiredly. "But good busy. 17 new trade agreements. 12 mutual defense promises. And the Makari have invited us to their homeworld for cultural exchange. Impressive. In 3 days, you have accomplished more than most species do in 3 decades. Jisoo nodded. "We had help. Many species were tired of the Chithari. They just needed someone to stand up first. Perhaps." Thrumex's body shifted colors, from blue to purple to deep gold. "But I did not ask you here to discuss politics. I asked you here because I want to understand." "Understand what?" "You knew. From the very beginning. You knew the water was poisoned before you even sat down." Jisoo's smile faded. She had wondered if he would notice. "Yes," she admitted. "We knew. Then why did you let them serve it? Why did you wait? You could have exposed them immediately, because immediate exposure would have meant nothing." Jisoo chose her words carefully. The Chithari would have denied it. They would have said we planted the poison ourselves. Other species would have doubted. It would have been our word against theirs. So you waited. You let them think their plan was working. You gave them time to make more mistakes. Yes, Thrumex hummed a note that might have been admiration or concern. Officer Lee detected the poison before the water even reached your table. She knew the moment the service drone approached. You were never in real danger. Jisoo nodded. Yuna's scanner can detect threats from across a room. The Chithri did not know that. They thought their poison was undetectable by human technology. And the evidence against them? You did not find it after they poisoned you. You had it already. We had most of it. Our ship systems had been monitoring station communications since we arrived. We knew the Chithri were planning something. We just did not know exactly what. The High Resonant was silent for a long moment. His crystal body darkened slightly. You came to this summit expecting to be attacked. Yes, you came prepared to turn that attack into a weapon against your enemies. Yes, you played us all. Every delegate. Every species. Even me. Jisoo met his gaze steadily. We protected ourselves. We exposed real crimes. And we made friends with species who were too afraid to stand against the Chithri alone. I do not think that is playing anyone. Thrumex hummed again. A lower note this time. The Chithri thought humans were weak. I think the Chithri were fools. We are weak, Jisoo said. Compared to most species, we are small and soft and fragile. We cannot see in the dark like the Seth. We cannot survive in vacuum like the Ephemery. We cannot live for thousands of years like your people. She stood up from the crystal bench. But we have learned something in our short time among the stars. Something that the old species have forgotten. And what is that? That weakness is not the same as helplessness. That being small does not mean being powerless. That the universe does not care how strong you are, only how smart you are, and how hard you are willing to fight. She walked toward the door, then stopped and looked back. The Chithri forgot that. They saw our weakness and thought it meant they could destroy us. They were wrong. And if others make the same mistake? Jisoo smiled. It was a warm smile. A friendly smile. But there was steel underneath. Then they will learn the same lesson. As many times as necessary. She left the high resonance chambers and walked through the crystal corridors toward the station's main dock. Dohan and Yuna fell into step beside her. The shuttle is ready, Dohan said. Captain Beak is waiting for us on the hanging. Good. It is time to go home. Yuna glanced at her. You look tired, Ambassador. I am tired, but happy. We did good work here. We almost died here. Yes. Jisoo laughed softly. But we did not. And our enemies did. I think that counts as a win. They reached the docking bay. The shuttle sat waiting, its engines already warming. Through the transparent walls, Jisoo could see the hanging floating nearby. Her ship, her people, her home among the stars. Behind her, the station hummed with activity. Delegates from dozens of species were preparing to leave. Some would go home and tell their governments about the amazing humans who had exposed the Chithri conspiracy. Some would go home and warn their governments to never, ever threaten humanity again. Both messages were good. Both would spread across the galaxy like ripples in a pond. And eventually, everyone would know. Humans were new to the stars. Humans were small and weak and soft. Humans drank water and ate simple food and died from things that did not bother anyone else. But humans were also clever, patient, determined. They planned ahead. They prepared for the worst. And when someone pushed them, they pushed back harder. Jisoo boarded the shuttle. The door closed behind her. Through the window, she watched the station grow smaller as they flew toward the hanging. Ambassador? Doan said, Yes. Do you think they will remember what we did here? Jisoo thought about it. The poison that never touched their lips. The table that shattered into 1,000,000 pieces. The files that exposed 10 years of crimes. The look on Krieg's face when he realized he had lost everything. "Yes," she said. "I think they will remember." She leaned back in her seat and closed her eyes. They served us water. We broke their table. And then we made friends with everyone they had ever hurt. A small smile crossed her face. That is a story worth remembering. The shuttle docked with the hanging. The engines hummed to life. And humanity's first diplomatic mission to the Galactic Trade Summit came to an end. It would not be their last. The galaxy had learned something about humans. And humans had learned something about the galaxy. It was a dangerous place. Full of beings who would smile at you while planning your death. Full of secrets and lies and ancient hatreds. But it was also a place of opportunity. A place where the clever could rise and the brave could thrive. Humanity was both clever and brave. And they were just getting started. The hanging turned toward Earth. The stars stretched into lines of light. And 3 humans who had changed everything flew home, ready to rest. Tomorrow, there would be new challenges, new enemies, new opportunities. But tonight, they had won. And that was enough.